Law and Order Season 23 Episode 8 begins with a woman getting on the subway. She walks away from potential trouble, but is then approached by a black man who appears to intimidate her. The cops arrive on the scene to discover the black man is dead and was strangled to death between 12:15 and 12:30 a.m. He has no phone on him, but he does still have his wallet. It's revealed that his name was Ellis Joyner and he was a stand-up comedian. He died of a lack of blood flow to the brain as his killer had him in a sleeper hold. Joyner suffered from severe asthma. It is discovered that one of his comedy videos had 1 million views on YouTube. The cops discover CCTV footage near the scene, which reveals a fellow comedian called Malcolm Page in an altercation with Joyner. They interview him, and Page claims Joyner attacked him first after Page implied he was gay. Page says Joyner was with another guy on the subway, and they weren't getting along. Page's alibi is confirmed, and he is cleared from the investigation. They interview Joyner's boyfriend, and he reveals they did have an argument over his refusal to live openly as a gay man, as he thought his fan base would turn on him. The boyfriend got off the train after a few stops and went home. As he got off, a white man kept staring at them and stepped in his way before he left and said, "Watch yourself." The cops follow up a lead that takes them to a gym. They are trying to track down a potential witness at the scene. They see him running away from the scene and they track him down. The man pulls a punch, but the cops bring him down. They interview him and discover he has 4 previous convictions for assault, which include hate crimes. He maintains innocence, claiming he was never on the subway and was out for an endurance run around midnight. The cops say someone matching his description was seen on the subway. The man reveals he was part of a combat academy and every member wore identical clothing. He names every member of the combat academy. The cops interview another guy from the combat academy and ask him if he rode the subway on the night of the murder. This man is called Brandon Arnoux, and he says he ran home, but then changes his story and admits that he killed Joyner, but it was an accident. Arnoux claims Joyner was attacking a woman on the subway and he was merely trying to protect her, but the cops bring him in for questioning. Arnoux is being interrogated by the cops in an interview room. They tell him they obtained a search warrant for his gym locker and they found Joyner's cell phone in there. Arnoux claims Joyner started recording him. The police say they watched the video, but they saw no sign of the woman he claimed he was protecting. Arnoux's lawyer tells him to keep quiet. The cops discuss whether to cut Arnoux loose or arrest him. They decide to arrest him. In the DA's office, they discuss whether it was self-defense turned into homicide, with Joyner saying on the video that he can't breathe. Nicholas Baxter reveals Joyner was in a choke hold for 3 full minutes. Nolan reckons they have a solid case for manslaughter, but Baxter questions this and wants to charge him with second-degree murder, claiming it's George Floyd all over again. In the courtroom, the video of Joyner in a chokehold is played to the jury. Joyner's boyfriend testifies and claims he saw Arnoux staring at them, and there was a racist tone to his behavior. The defense lawyer fights back, claims Arnoux has no history of violent behavior, and reveals that Joyner's boyfriend does have a violent history. He says he didn't witness the crime take place as he'd already gotten off the train before the incident took place. The woman who felt threatened on the train comes forward and testifies in court. Her name is Rebecca Lasky. She says she bumped into Joyner and claims he appeared to be mentally disturbed and lunged at her before reaching into his pocket. She screamed for help thinking Joyner had a knife, and she claimed Arnoux saved her and grabbed Joyner and pulled him away from her. A fight broke out, and Lasky claims Arnoux was her hero. A manslaughter plea is suggested to Baxter after the context of the incident was revealed. The prosecution questions whether Arnoux was a white supremacist, so they go back to the gym to interview a worker, who tells them they are heading down the right path by suggesting Arnoux is a racist, but then reveals he's actually an undercover cop working at the gym on a case. Baxter meets with the team conducting the undercover operation, and they reveal the gym is part of an international network of white supremacists. Baxter says they need the undercover cop to testify against Arnu, but the team tries to get Baxter to drop it so they can continue their investigation and see the big picture. Baxter tells Nolan to try to find another way to prove Arnu was a racist, as they can't use the undercover cop. Nolan says Joyner deserves justice. The episode ends with the verdict: Brandon Arnu is found not guilty. Baxter tells Nolan he did a great job with a really tough case. Baxter says they did the best they could, but Nolan counters that they chose not to do better for the greater good. Baxter stands by the decision as he watches Arnu celebrating his win with his fellow racist friends outside the court building. The episode review. There are some interesting points brought up in this episode that do what Law and Order does best by ripping their stories from the headlines. There are some convenient plot twists that feel a little forced, but the story is good, and Tony Goldwyn is proving to be a great replacement for Sam Waterston, playing the new DA Nicholas Baxter. He plays the role with a hint of a potential sinister intention that could be developed as the season progresses.